Hi guys, I'm back with chapter 6 of our book, What is the Declaration of Independence? This chapter is called The Shot Heard Round the World. After the First Continental Congress, a large, heavily armed militia formed in Massachusetts. If you remember from the last chapter, we said that a militia was a group of voluntary people who chose to be soldiers to help fight, but they weren't necessarily in the army. They had regular jobs, and they just volunteered to do this if needed. The volunteer soldiers gathered up as many muskets, cannons, and as much gunpowder as possible. Of course, this was totally against the law. Remember, Boston was being punished for the Tea Party. Even town meetings had been banned. But that didn't stop Sam Adams and others from planning for a revolt. The question was, where would they put all the weapons and gunpowder? Concord, Massachusetts seemed like the ideal place. It was a small, quiet town about 20 miles northwest of Boston. Here is a map so you can see where Boston is and where Concord is. Unfortunately, British spies found out about the hidden weapons in Concord. General Thomas Gage decided to attack the colonists' stockpile. And we talked about General Gage being the British soldier who was put here to be in charge of Massachusetts. This would crush their ability to fight against the king. But the colonists had their own spies. They learned when the Redcoats, a nickname for British soldiers because of their red uniforms, planned to raid Concord. It would be on the night of April 18, 1775. The colonial spies also learned which route the soldiers would take to get to Concord. It was Paul Revere who discovered that the British planned to sail up the Charles River to reach Concord. Revere and another man both mounted their horses and rode as fast as they could to Concord. They were able to warn the people guarding the weapons that the British troops were approaching. And after we're done with this book, we're going to do a little bit of writing having to do with Paul Revere in a poem. In the early morning hours of April 19, 1775, a group of about 75 armed colonists faced off against 700 British soldiers near Lexington, which was about 7 miles from Concord. Someone, no one was sure who, shot his musket and fighting began. 8 colonists were shot and 1 British soldier was killed. The British Army kept marching toward Concord. What do you think the British Army found when they got there? Nothing. Because of Paul Revere's warning, all the weapons in Concord had been moved. The Redcoats were so angry they burned down many houses and shops. Then they headed back to Boston. But on their way, the British soldiers ran into trouble. More than 2,000 colonists hiding behind houses, fences, and bushes started shooting. The outnumbered British army quickly fled. Even in Lexington, where more British soldiers joined the fight, the colonists proved to be too strong. The British ran for their lives. This was the first real battle and what would soon turn into a war. Okay, so at this point, the British didn't have a whole lot of military people there. They were only in Massachusetts to help with the peace because of all the new laws that they had put into place after the Boston Tea Party. So there's a lot more colonists fighting. But soon, there would be a war. Okay, that's all for Chapter 6. Answer the questions below. A couple quick questions just to make sure you're understanding. And tune in tomorrow for Chapter 7. Miss you guys. Stay healthy and safe.